Hi, I'm Debbie and welcome to Book and BuJo, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery, and occasionally some tea or something else to drink. Today is my weekly wrap-up for the first week of January. So I have decided that doing a monthly wrap-up is a little too overwhelming. It is a lot. There are some months where I read 12 books, other months where I may read 32 books. And when it gets to that point, it's just a lot. I'm still working on finishing up my reviews and my stats for November and December because I read so many books. I guess with the holidays, for some reason, I just had a lot of time to listen to audiobooks or something. I don't know, but I read a lot of books and I am struggling with the wrap-ups for those. So I am going to try something different and do a week wrap-up and see how that goes. So in these weekly wrap-ups, I will have what did I finish reading, what am I currently reading, maybe how my reading journal is going, and maybe what I'm drinking or something that I may have done during that week. So not part of January, but for December 26th, we got the chance with my family to go and see Manheim Steamroller. They were here in Prescott, and that was really exciting. It was a lot of fun. So we did forget that the arena they played in is also the hockey arena, and so they just put big slabs of stuff over the ice, and then they set up everything else on top of that, and we forgot how cold it was going to be in there. So it was a little chilly, but overall it was so much fun, and it was great to spend some time with family. So on January 1st, we had just a chill day, cleaning, doing random house stuff. So I listened to an audiobook all day and pretty much read the entirety of Sharp Ends by Joe Abercrombie, which is the 7th book in the First Law series, and it is an anthology, so a bunch of short stories, and I just devoured that all in one day. So it's not very long, it's like 304 pages, and I think it was 10-ish hours, and I listen at least 1.5 speed up to 2 speed, so it was only like 6 hours or so, but I did spend the entire day just listening to that book. Unfortunately, my library didn't have it, so I had to get it on audiobook, but I did really enjoy it. So some of the things I loved about it is we did get some backstory on some of our favorite characters, so it was nice to get to know Glocta a little bit better when he was younger and super arrogant, and we also got some side stories as well, so like getting to know Logan Ninefingers a little bit more before the First Law trilogy starts, and so it's just kind of fun. You get to know some more about some characters you already know and like, and backstory on some of your favorites. I do wish there would have been more on Glocta. Not to give any spoilers, but there's pretty much only one main story that focuses on him, and the rest are on everybody else, and I totally get that, you know, share the love, give everybody basically one story kind of thing, but I would have loved to have gotten a little bit more on him. I did give that one 4 stars. Next up, I read, and this is the one I just returned to the library, and I just read Ink Blood Sister Scribe by Emma Torge, and that was really interesting. That one I gave 4.5 stars, and I thought it was great. So this was a book club book read for the BuJo Buddies book club with Joshi Curran and Monica Bibliophile at Night, and I will leave all of their channels linked down below for you if you want to check them out, because they are amazing. And this one was great. Just the atmosphere was so immersive and interesting. I was just intrigued the whole time. I wanted to know what was going to happen. I was invested in some of these characters, and it just was fascinating. We're following 2 sisters who have basically spent most of their lives protecting this magical library that their father has collected and has in their house. And something happens, and one of the sisters leaves, and the other one has to stay in the house to protect the library. And they don't really speak much after that. And so this is like 10-ish years later, basically when the story starts. And you get a lot of the backstory throughout the book, and you also have all the times in the present as well. So it's nice to kind of have a little bit of that, the flashbacks that kind of happen throughout. But then these sisters also meet another family who also have this immense library of magical books, but they're just a little bit different. The uncle, it's an uncle and a nephew, but they actually call it the library, and it's not necessarily one person's library, it's this collection. So this uncle has gone and found collections throughout the world, and he goes and purchases them and then adds them to this library where other collectors can come and read and enjoy. And then things kind of take a dark little twist. So two of the things that I like most in the book are character building and atmosphere. And this book definitely has both. So the next book I read was Love Lies and Hocus Pocus, Beginnings by Lydia Scher, and this is the first book in the Lily Singer Adventures series. And this was just charming. It was so much fun. This is more of one of those palate cleanser, kind of guilty pleasure-ish type of book. So it's a fun fantasy. It's not a romance, but it kind of has some of the same feel that rom-coms have, especially when you have the fantasy element in there. But it was just so cute. Lily is a wizard, and one of her friends, I say friends in air quotes because they enjoy each other's company, they get each other, but not necessarily someone you want to hang out with all the time. So she's a wizard, he can do magic, and there is a little bit of a difference. One of them, the magic, they can do magic through other things, whereas a wizard, you kind of have the magic inside of you. So it's a little bit different, as opposed to like a male is a wizard, female is a witch kind of thing. They take out those genders, and if you're a wizard, it just means magic is born inside of you and you have it in you. Where if you're more of a witch, you can use magic through objects and other things around you, through spells and that kind of thing. And this book actually has two different adventures. One of them is more on the Lily side. The other one is on Sebastian, her friend's side of the story. Both Lily and Sebastian have to work together to help each other out of whatever situations they find each other in. The first part is kind of getting to know the two of them, their quirks and idiosyncrasies and the different talents that they have and just who they are. The last half of the book is Sebastian getting stuck in a pickle. So he has a little problem that he needs Lily's help for, and he ends up sucking her into it, and they got to figure it out and solve it on the fly in the moment. And it's just really fun. It's a very fast-paced book. It's quirky, and it's just charming. It's adorable. Super fun. It's a great book to read in between big, heavy fantasies or big nonfiction books that really made your brain hurt because you were thinking so hard. This one just is a great way to relax your brain again and just put yourself in a good mood and then move on to the next challenging book that you want to read. So there are two books that I'm reading. They're carryovers from December, and they are book club picks that are one was for December, and then January we're going to have the live show, but I don't think that's happening now. And then the other one was for December and January. The live show is later in the month. So the first one is The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart, and this one is the third book in the Drowning Empire series, and I am loving this. I am almost done. I only have this much left, so getting really close. I should be able to finish this today or tomorrow. This is the third and final book in the Drowning Empire series. So I don't want to tell you anything that's going on in this one because there'd be major spoilers for the other books, and I want you to be able to read all of them without having spoilers. We have Lynn, who is our main character, and her father, the Emperor, and they live on Imperial Island, and there's a bunch of islands all around. They have a certain type of magic, which is really interesting. So the magic system is very exciting. There's actually multiple magic systems in this book series. It's just super interesting and intriguing. I really liked all the characters as well. I feel like they actually have some depth and you get to know the characters more than just surface wise. You get to see them go through struggles and grow as people and grow together in relationships like friendships and things like that. And it's just super interesting. Lynn lives in this palace with her father, the Emperor, and they also he has like an apprentice that is also there with them, and there's a little competition between Lynn and the apprentice. And with the bone shard magic, they have constructs. The Emperor can create constructs. So it could be shaped like an animal, could be shaped like multiple animals into one, it could be shaped like a person, it could be anything like that. And basically he uses these bone shards that have commands on them and places them in this body that then gives them life, but they have to then do exactly what the Emperor commands. Very interesting. I highly recommend this series. It's been pretty much a 4-star series throughout, and we'll see when I finish this one what I give it. And then the other book that I'm reading is on my Kindle, and that is The Girl and the Stars by Mark Lawrence, and this is the first book in the Book of Ice series by Mark Lawrence. And this is a follow-up series to the Book of the Ancestor, which is Red Sister, Grey Sister, Holy Sister. And we just finished reading those. And that is for the Backlist Book Club with Covers with Cassidy. And I did forget to mention that the Bone Shard War is for the Howling Pack with the Wild Sasha. So in The Girl and the Stars, this is all about the tribes that are living on the ice. And in the ice, there's a hole. And this is where the broken children go. It's kind of morbid at the beginning a little bit, but I feel this is much faster paced. It's still not fast paced, but it's faster paced than the Book of the Ancestor. You got to be able to survive on the ice. Those who are deemed broken are basically the ones that can't keep up. They're maybe a little more sickly. They have some kind of infirmity, and it's basically drags down everyone on the ice and puts everyone in peril. And so their solution is the main priest for all the tribes comes around and he checks every single child whenever he comes around. It may be every 2 years, every 4 years, so it's not like it's happening constantly. But if he finds one that he doesn't think is strong enough to stay on the ice, he just tosses them right down the hole. So there are some trigger warnings in here, so keep that in mind. So there is a hope on the horizon in the book, though, and you don't have to go very far into it to find it. So The Girl and the Stars is definitely a dark fantasy, but it's super intriguing, and I love the atmosphere. I almost feel like I get colder while I'm reading this, just because they're surrounded by ice everywhere. I'm only, let's see, I'm like 42% of the way through the book. Yeah, 42% of the way through. I'm on page 154. I still got a ways to go. I started this at the end of December, so I waited until I got like my birthday gift cards to Amazon and bought the Kindle book because I could not find this anywhere. I can't find it at my library. Hoopla doesn't have it, or at least my library's Hoopla doesn't have it. It's not on Libby for my library or Overdrive. So yeah, I struggled. But I do now have a promotional credit, and I still have some on my gift card, so I should be able to purchase the second book now. So I'm hoping. But that's not until February and March, so got a little time. But yes, that's the other book that I'm currently reading. So to get a quick little read along in there, I did read The 11th Metal by Brandon Sanderson, and this is part of the Arcanum Unbounded, and I actually do have this on my Kindle. But it's nice, I like to check this out from my library every so often because it's easier to look through them if you're going to read multiple ones of them to find the spoiler warnings. So like this one, 11th Metal, it says this story may be read before the original Mistborn trilogy or you can read it afterwards. But there's some other ones in here like Alamancer Jack and The Pits of Eltania. This one is also on my TBR for this month, but this says like the story contains minor spoilers for the Alloy of Law, which is also on my TBR for this month. So it's a lot easier to kind of flip through this one and find those and look back and forth than it is on the Kindle. So every so often I do check this one out for my library. But yes, I read the 11th Metal, which was super interesting. So you get to see Kelsier again, and because this is all happens before the Mistborn trilogy. So we get a little snippet of Kelsier's life after he's been to the pits of Hassan and has now started his plan for everything that is the Mistborn Era 1 series. Okay, so I've got my fun little bamboo cup that I got from World Market. I used to work there, so I have quite a few mugs and other paraphernalia from World Market. So good. Okay, so I got to tell you about what I'm drinking because it is amazing. It is so good. So I got a sampler pack from Rasa. These are the ones I have not tried yet. So we have the Rasa cacao, so that would be like a little hot chocolate. We have the Rasa golden chai, which has turmeric in it, so like a golden milk. And then we also have the Rasa dirty. This one does have coffee in it. So this one has the Rasa blend plus some coffee in it. So if you're someone who needs to try and wean themselves off from coffee, or you just want something that's a little bit lighter in caffeine, that maybe has a little bit more other health benefits to it, you can check out Rasa. So basically you use 1 tablespoon per 1 cup of hot boiling water, and you let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, and I have to show you how dark and coffee looking it is. So it definitely brews up nice and dark, so no one would know it's not coffee in your cup. So it is a little bold. It can be a little dry tasting, so like wine could be sweet or dry. The Rasa is also kind of like that. So for some of them, I will add a couple drops of my liquid stevia. You can use a powder, you can use whatever sweetener you want if you want it. And other ones I don't put anything added to it because I like it just how it is. So I tend to like my drinks a little more on the naked side than adding sweetener or milk to it. There's a lot that comes with this sampler. So these are the ones I've already opened. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you get 9 different flavors in this sampler that you can try. So you would definitely find one that you liked. We do have the Rasa Calm. This one has no caffeine. It's calming. Good for a time to chill out and great to drink right before you go to sleep. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This needs nothing else with it. Just this by itself. So good. I made myself a cup and I took a swallow and I was like, oh, this is really good. So then I handed it to my husband and I was like, oh, good, you could just try it, see what you think. And he probably drank at least half the cup. I had to get myself more. So, so it was really good. And then we have the Rasa Super Happy Sunshine, and this one is definitely more for earlier in the day. And then we have the Rasa Bold. This is one that I would use a little, just 2 drops of the stevia in, just to give it, just take the edge off the kind of the bitterness of it. And then the other ones we have the Rasa Original. And this is, of course, their first one that they came out with. That's the one I'm drinking right now, and it's super good. Definitely, I can definitely taste the dandelion root tea in there, but that's because I love dandelion root tea, so I can taste it. And then we have the Spicy Rose Cacao, which is supposed to help with a lot of good things. And that one's good. It's not my favorite, but it is good. It does have a little bit of a kick in there. It does have a little bit of ginger, and it has a little bit of cayenne in there, and that's where the kick comes from. But you also get this creamer, so a Rasa creamer, and this is an oat milk creamer. I have tried this in one of the drinks that I did, and it does calm the bitterness a little bit. So if you do like a little bit of creamer or something in your drinks, then that's a good alternative. And it is olive powder. So all of these you pretty much steep for 10 to 15 minutes like you would a loose leaf tea, and then you would pour it into your cup, strain it. You can also use a French press, which is what they recommend. And so you just French press it, you push it down, you pour it into your drink, or into your cup. So the other one I got, this one is for my husband as well. This one is another one that has the coffee in it. And these ones you don't have to use a French press for. So basically it's just little bags you put into your cup, pour your water on, and then drink it. And this one has, again, the Rasa blend along with coffee. And these are all of the Rasa blends have adaptogens and mushrooms in them. they have like lion's mane and quadriceps and a lot of those mushrooms that are really beneficial, especially for brain health. But they are also full of adaptogens like ashwagandha and rhodiola, and these are really good. So when your body is missing something, it mimics that. So your body thinks it has it and is able to heal and move on, and it's just really good for immunity and just energy and a lot of other things like that. So the original is rich and complex and roasty, and it is smooth with a calm energy that sustains you, and you can drink that one anytime. It's got 3,100 milligrams of adaptogens, and they have this fun little chart that they email you that tells you all of the different adaptogen amounts and what each of them are for. So like the cacao's hot chocolate's healthy cousin, use it when you're craving a hot and healthy cocoa, mood boosting, luxurious, and delicious. And that has 1,500 milligrams of adaptogens. I do have a code that I will link down below to get you 15% off of any of the Rasa products. All right. Next up, I read Terry Pratchett's The Truth, which is the 25th book in the Discworld series, and this one is based off of newspapers. So you have your like National Enquirer type that has fantastical type of things like alien babies and that kind of thing, but you also have like the Times and The Truth. So The Truth is the newspaper that this one is based off, which is super fun. I believe it's part of the City Guard series, because of course we have Commander Vimes and a bunch of them in it, Nobby Knobs and some of them, but it doesn't focus just on them. But it was super fun. I finished that one this morning. And then I moved on to The Dark Prophecy, which is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan. I am not very far into it. I am this far in, so I still have quite a ways to go, but it does not disappoint. I love Rick Riordan's writing. It's just super fun and exciting. Can't wait to finish it up. So that's where I'm going with that one. And then depending on what audiobook I have, I'm not always able to download it onto my phone easily to where I can listen to it offline. Sometimes I have to have an internet connection and I don't want to use up all my data, so I didn't listen to that one on my phone, so I started You Are The Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I was listening to this as I ran my errands today, and it's very interesting. So this one is definitely along the lines of the manifestation and you are what you think. The beginning, I'm not very far in. I'm only this far in, so I have quite a ways to go. But the beginning kind of tells his story, and he was in a race and he got hit from behind. So he was on a bicycle on a race and he got hit from behind by an SUV, and he landed on his butt basically, and other things happened with that. That would have been so scary to have witnessed that. It basically compressed his spine, and he had a lot of issues with his vertebra, and basically was told that he would have to have a steel rod placed into his back so that he could even just stand or sit again upright. And he didn't like that option. So he decided to go with a different option, and he basically meditated every day. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but he started out in smaller chunks and then worked his way up, and basically meditated every day, picturing and visualizing the healing of his spine, the healing of his vertebra, him walking around, him swimming and playing, and all the things that he wasn't able to do right now. And within like 10 weeks, he's also a chiropractor, so within 10 weeks he was back at his chiropractic office and treating patients. His diagnosis was do nothing and be paralyzed, or get in this steel rod, you'll be in pain for the rest of your life, but at least you'll be able to walk. Those were his two options, and he chose this third option, and he has been helping others to do this same work since then. So it's really interesting. Again, I'm not into the real meat of it yet, but it does go into a lot of the placebo effect when people are given something like a sugar pill or whatever and saying that it's treating whatever ails you, and they all of a sudden are healed from it. So a lot of it is in your mind. So I think it's very interesting. So you are what you think. My computer decided it did not want to play the last part of my video where I give you an update on my reading journal. So here is take number 2 the next day. So updates on my reading journal. I have already decided, of course, we're only 1 week in, I've already decided that this Year in Pixels here it's not going to work for me how it is currently. I pretty much read physically and listen to audiobooks every single day, even if it's only for 5 minutes on each of them, maybe 1 page or 10 minutes of an audiobook or whatever. So having it lumped into one is a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be. So going forward, I'm going to do a month in Pixels, 1 for audiobooks and 1 for pages read. I think that'll be a lot easier for me. But I am starting to get my bookshelves done, and I'm not putting the colors of the ratings in there until I've actually finished the reviews, because I want to stay on top of my reviews right now. So currently I'm doing 1 review for a book I've read in January and 2 reviews of books I've read in November at this point to try and catch up. And for some reason the star stamp that I have is too big for doing this one, so I'm just doing dots with my dot markers. Much easier. I have had some requests to talk about how I set up my Bible reading tracker with the chapters and everything, and how I decided to have the form that I have. So stay tuned, I will have that coming up. We did get a 2024 Year in Aeldia from Gia Book Roast, so I've put the new prompts in here, and luckily the prompts that the books that I chose for the 2023 ones also work for 2024, so I didn't really have to change any books. The first one is to rely on your strength, and that is to read a book physically. So I am reading The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart, and that one I do have the physical hardcover for. And then the other one is Rely on Your Wits, and that is to listen to an audiobook, and I'm currently listening to The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan. Now that one is a mixed media one, so I'm listening to it and reading along in the book, but mainly listening to it. Now we come to January. I have added in here a little tip in, and this is for the Cosmere read-along, because we have so many books that are supposed to be read in January that I needed to be able to list them out a little bit better. So there's basically 8 books, sort of 8 books. We'll say 7 and a bit, because one of the books is Arcanum Unbounded, which has a whole lot of the other short stories in it. It's actually a little bit less than that, but there's still a lot. So it's the entire Mistborn era 2, and then all the short stories that go along with it in the Cosmere. So I wanted a little bit easier way to track it than what I had on here, which also comes to that this page is also not working for me. The calendar where I'm tracking when I start and end books, I'm also keeping track for my pixels, year or month in pixels. So I'm adding where I stopped in the audiobook, the timestamp, as well as the page that I stopped in the physical book. So this calendar is way too small for that. So I need to make it basically have it cover this whole bottom half of the page. And then the top half is where I could put my January TBR. So this number 1 here was Sharp Ends, and that showed that I started it and completed it on January 1st. That needs to be up here, which means everything that's up here needs to go someplace else. I'm so used to, last year I was trying to keep everything in one journal, and it's just not realistic. It's not going to happen. So why am I skimping on pages and trying to save pages when I don't need to? So for February, I will put all of this on a separate page, and I will have my dashboard kind of take up the entire page. I may have like a little snippet of like books read and read-alongs and book clubs and things like that in here still, but keeping track of them will be on a different page. As well as with my Readathons. So I could do a tip-in with the prompts and then number those prompts and then put the number here and then have the books on there. Let me move this to the side so you can see it a little better. or I can just keep it on a page with my book club books and readalongs and any other challenges that I may be doing. So like the Year in Aeldia and Buzzwordathon and those kind of things, I will put those all on the same page and then have my TBRopoly all on one. The TBRopoly spot is working really well. So it has how far into a book I am. If I've read only 25%, I can color up to here like I did here, or 50% I color in one of the die, and that kind of gives me a nice little visual. Plus it's just fun to kind of color things in and check things off and that kind of thing. And I want to be able to do that a little better with my readathons as well, and right now I don't have a way to really do that in the space provided. So that's something else. If I have a bigger calendar, I may even take up a whole page for it and do it sideways. These are some of the thoughts going on in my head for trying to figure out how to make this work a little bit better, and figuring out what I actually want it to look like and how I want it to work for me. I do like that up here I have circles for if I submitted it to a readathon or if I did my review, so that way I keep track of that a little better. And I have that down here as well if I submitted it or if I did a review, but I don't have a progress bar of how close to the end I am of finishing the book. And then back here, so far, my little reviews are working for me. I'm using some washi tape to differentiate between the two books. And then once I get a full page of the little book covers, then I'll print them off and paste those in, which will probably end up being more towards the end of February, depending on how many books I read, because with them being that small, you can fit a whole lot of them on a page. I'm not sure about how my January reads and stats page is going, because we're not at the end of the month yet. So we'll wait and see if we're going to do any tweaks on that one, and once we reach February. So how's your reading journal going for you? Do you use a reading journal? So in 2023, I pretty much submitted all of my reviews on Goodreads. I did do a couple on Amazon, a couple on Storygraph, but overall I was using Goodreads. But I have now finally got my Storygraph all set up. It's all ready to go. I did a little digging and figuring out of how to use it a little better. So now starting for January and all of 2024, I will be using Storygraph, and I will leave that link down below if you want to follow me or add me as a friend. That'd be great. I would love to see you there. So thank you for joining me for a very long and chatty week 1 wrap up, check-in, whatever we want to call this. I do have some more Rasa here, it's still just delicious. It's the original again. Very much enjoying it. I will also leave a quick little clip of my handbell concert, just real short, in case anyone is interested in seeing what handbells are, and if you happen to have them in your community and you want to get involved, it's super fun, and I am really looking forward to ramping it up this year with some extra hard pieces. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun too. So what books have you finished so far in the first week of January? What are you currently reading? I would love to find that out. Leave that down in the comments below. And thank you so much for joining me. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. And if you made it this far in the video, leave a mug emoji. This time it's my Pluto mug. So leave a mug emoji or maybe some bamboo. I don't think there is a Pluto emoji. If there's a little dog emoji, you could do that one too, in honor of delicious drinks. And until next time, keep reading.